what is easily one of the best platformers I've played this year, Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom took me on a grand adventure filled with magic and wonder. With its attention to detail to visuals, an enchanting soundtrack, and entertaining exploration, Monster Boy is one metroidvania platformer I won't be forgetting anytime soon. Bringing back the vibes of Wonder Boy the Dragon's Trap, Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom stars Jin. He's a young blue-haired warrior with a ton of heart. While all is at peace in the kingdom, a series of chaotic events leads to everyone in the kingdom being turned into monsters. With everything in turmoil, it's up to Jin to go across the Cursed Kingdom, collecting the magical orbs that can fix this entire mess. While narrative-wise the story can be pretty straightforward and diluted, it does take you across some beautiful landscapes filled with fun personalities. You'll meet the likes of a baking panda and an overworked pirate, just to name a few. It all feels like a world that you can engulf yourself in, one that has all types of people living in it, with lives that go way beyond just your own adventure. When you boil it down, Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom is a Metroidvania game with all the aspects of that genre. However, unlike how saturated that genre is, Monster Boy stands out among the rest. The Cursed Kingdom is wide and diverse in the landscapes it provides. Traveling through the forest, underwater, and in the dark sewers, you'll come across all sorts of creatures that'll try to stop you. However, like your foes, you too come with a vast variety of abilities and tools. That's actually where the Metroidvania aspects come into play. As you travel to each part of the Cursed Kingdom in search for magical orbs, you'll gain new monster transformations that come with their own abilities. These abilities are then used to traverse the different terrains of the kingdom, as well as fight off the enemies you previously couldn't fight off before. Where in other Metroidvania games this usually works by earning new powers, here it feels more natural and integrated to the story. I love it. What I particularly love is how it isn't just a change to cosmetics, but rather an actual game design. Rather than just saying, hey, this is a block of ice, so instead of just using a regular sword, you now need a fire sword, it actually changes the entire way you play. Playing as a snake puts you in more labyrinth-like spaces that have you using moss to reach different areas you couldn't reach before. It becomes a bigger game of figuring out puzzles and mazes as you try to get from one point to another. On the other hand, while playing as a frog, you can suddenly use your tongue to perform fantastic feeling acrobatic platforming or swim underwater really quickly. It feels completely different from every other monster you can transform into. In total, there are 6 forms that you can change into, and throughout the 15-hour campaign, I was challenged to use them in different combinations that felt like puzzles on their own. While I wouldn't describe the campaign as difficult, it does try to get you to think outside of the box, taking into consideration the powers of your forms and the tools you have. You see, aside from the monster forms, certain creatures like the frog can equip swords, shields, shoes, and other accessories. It adds some more RPG elements on top of everything. The attributes of these tools can then be used to manipulate the environment and at times solve puzzles. The lion, for example, can't normally be underwater, he just floats up. However, attaching a pair of heavy iron boots sinks him all the way to the bottom. Little touches like that lead to multiple aha moments anytime I was presented with an obstacle and I had the tool set to solve the problem. I chased after that feeling with every new orb that I collected, unlocking a new monster form that could then help me further explore the world. With every new orb to collect also came boss fights that were the cherry on top of the exploration. While they weren't particularly taxing or too difficult, they did push me to use my powers in different ways, oftentimes in combinations of different forms. There's also plenty to do for the completionists out there. Scattered throughout every world are secret areas that unlock an assortment of new bonuses. Whether it's new pieces of equipment, upgrades for the pig's many powers, or even just coins that can be reinvested into upgrades, there's no shortage of things to collect. Overall, I was enamored by the adventure that Monster Boy took me on. The epic adventure was nothing short of superb, providing me with a great weekend of entertainment. Monster Boy is absolutely breathtaking in what I can only describe as a Saturday morning cartoon in 2018. This game extrudes charm in just about every corner of the Cursed Kingdom. Upon starting the game, I was introduced to an astonishing looking cartoon opening that reminded me of something I'd see on 4Kids TV when I was a kid. That's then translated perfectly into a lovely hand-drawn gameplay animation. The amazement is only better delivered through the attention to detail in the animation throughout every part of the world. Warm-lit torches illuminate the darkest crevices in the sewers, the seaside breeze pushes against the palm trees, while in the grasslands you can even make out the layers that make up the wide open fields in the background. There's just so much going on in every section, and it's hard to not stop and admire it all. Boss fights especially stand out as this great set piece that at times can even mimic the look of something completely animated. It's beautiful. Playing on the Nintendo Switch, I got solid performances across the board with 1080p 60 in dock mode and a sharp-looking 720p 60 in handheld mode. On PS4 and Xbox One, you get that same 1080p 60 performance that really do shine on OLED displays. It's simply eye-catching. Sadly, I did come across some slight visual bugs like fish disappearing in the background underwater and one instance where the boss fight became invincible. The boss itself just meant I had to restart the fight, and while it was annoying, it didn't really stop me from wanting to keep on playing the game. As much as the visuals help sell Monster Boy's charm, a lot of it also comes from the brilliant sound design. Just how the smallest visual details got attention, so do the sounds of the world. Running through the caves as a frog, I could hear and quite literally feel the pitter-patter of my footsteps thanks to the HD rumble on the Nintendo Switch. Swinging across the room with my tongue, I could hear every little action with the occasional cartoony bop and pop to match with the actions on screen. Music was well done too. In the dark sewers, for example, I was accompanied by a mostly stringed track that gave off the sense of wonder and curiosity. It then picked up with the more heavy rock song as the more action-heavy platforming sections phased in. The team of Japanese composers like Yozo Koshiro, Motoi Sakuraba, and Takeshi Yanagawa did a fantastic job creating the symphony for these worlds, highlighting just why their work in games like Dark Souls and Shenmue became so iconic. In a genre that's only gotten increasingly more saturated with every new indie entry, Monster Boy finds a way to shine its light and capture my imagination. I had a blast exploring the Cursed Kingdom in all 6 different forms, each feeling like a whole new way to play rather than just a cosmetic change. It was all presented in a glorious hand-drawn art style that was only better delivered thanks to the whimsical soundtrack. Whether you're a completionist looking for your next fix, someone that just likes platforming games that challenge your critical thinking, or heck just want something to play next week, you can't go wrong with Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom. I give it a 9.5 out of 10. Thanks so much for watching my review. If you liked it, then consider sharing it around and subscribing. I upload new reviews on the latest video games just about every single week. You can also find my gaming usernames and social networks in the description down below. Hope you all have a great day and keep on gaming.